First up is something that comes in at only $8, and that's the glue bot. Every single woodworker uses wood glue on their projects, so the glue bot is going to be perfect for that woodworker on your list. A traditional glue bottle requires that you hold it upside down, kind of like a bottle of ketchup. But where the glue bot is different is it uses some fancy high-level physics,
science rules,
that allow you to get glue out of the bottle no matter how you have the bottle tilted. Plus, it comes with bonus tips that you can put on the end of the glue bot that allows you to apply glue in tons of different ways, making it way easier. But what if the person on your list already has a glue bot? Well, most woodworkers do not just use one type of glue. So by having multiple glue bots, you can store one type of glue in the old one and another type of glue in the new one. Plus, if they've had their bottle for several years, it might just be worn out and they're in need for a new one anyway. If you think the glue bot is going to be a good choice for you, I'll leave a link to this down in the description. Next on the list is everybody's best friend. No, not expensive machinery, I'm talking clamps. Now, every single woodworker uses clamps in some form, and although there are tons of different styles like you can see behind me, I want to steer you towards just a couple that I know are going to be super helpful for that person on your list. First up in the clamp section is something that is a great bang for the buck, and that's these $3 Harbor Freight clamps. As you can tell based on the wall here, you really can never have too many of these. This style of clamp is perfect for pretty much any type of woodworking, and I always find tons of new ways that I use these every single day. Now, if $3 seems a little bit cheap and you want to spend a little bit more money on something slightly nicer, there are other brands like Bessie and Pony Jorgensen that make the exact same clamps, just a little bit heavier duty and a little bit nicer. Not to mention, there are some people out there that have a very strong hatred towards anything Harbor Freight.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
So they're gonna like these other clamps a little bit better. But I can assure you that these $3 Harbor Freight clamps work great. If you want to get extra fancy and really impress that person on your list, pick them up some parallel clamps. These are substantially more expensive, coming in at around $40 a piece. However, these are the gold standard in clamps and everyone wants them. This particular style of clamp tends to be more geared towards somebody who builds furniture and other really fine furnishings, not so much for the construction world. And yes, these do come in tons of different sizes like you can see up here, but the 24-inch to 48-inch would be a great option. Anything in that range, I would be pumped to get. But what if they already have a million clamps? There's an old adage in woodworking that you can never have too many clamps, and honestly, it's true. Even with this entire collection that I have back here, I still run into times where I really wish I had more clamps. Now, to make your clamp shopping just a little bit easier, I made a whole list of tons of different clamps I'd recommend down in the description below. Any of those people would be thrilled to get. Up next is something that helps woodworkers dial in really weird angles and other cuts, and it's something that I always keep attached to my table saw, and that's a digital angle gauge. Now, something like this is probably geared more towards people who build furniture and other more intricate things, and probably isn't quite as useful for somebody who's out on a job site. The purpose of this is so that you can very easily and clearly see what angle you're setting your blades to. And if you don't know, the scales that are built in on most tools are super inaccurate and nobody relies on them. To use this, simply set it on the tool, zero it out, tilt the blade to your desired angle, and you're all set. As a bonus, if the person on your list is into content creation, like what I'm doing here, it makes for a very satisfying shot. But what if they already have one? Well, chances are they own more than one tool, so by having multiple of these, you can save tons of time hunting around the shop and just use the magnetic base to keep it right on the tool so it's there every single time you need it. So if the digital angle gauge is something that you're interested in, I'll leave a couple links down to them in the description. Next up, coming in at right about $15 to $30 is a driver bit set. This would be perfect for absolutely everybody on your list because woodworkers use drills and drivers all the time, as you can see by the number I have behind me. At the end of the drill, you put in some bits, and unfortunately, they don't last forever. They either wear out and get really dull, or they snap. I highly recommend picking up a set that comes in one of these hard cases. That way you can easily organize everything and take it with you wherever you need to go. And I know one of the other questions is going to be, does it matter what's on the inside? And no, it really doesn't. I could easily find something that would be extremely helpful inside every single driver bit kit that I looked at. Now, one suggestion that I do have is try to look for a set that says that it's impact rated. I'm not going to go into the specifics about what that actually means, but all that you need to know is it basically means that they're a lot stronger and less likely to break. And no, it does not matter what brand bits you buy, all of them are compatible with all the other brands. So for example, this is a Ryobi set, and this will work with a Makita, Rigid, Festool, and Ryobi, no problem. Every brand is compatible with everyone else. But what if they've already got a set? Trust me, I break or lose bits all the time, and I'm always excited to get a new set. Plus, having multiple sets allows you to just keep them all over the place. Maybe you have one set in the garage, one set in the car, and another that you keep inside for small home repairs. And again, the brand really doesn't matter, but I'll leave a couple links down in the description below of some sets that I'd recommend. One of the bad things about woodworking is that it creates a lot of dust. And that's why the next item that I'd recommend comes in at around 30 bucks, and that's a dust mask. These help block harmful particulates from entering your lungs and causing tons of health problems. And unlike bulky respirators, these are very easy to take on and off, which means that the person who receives this will actually wear it. Now, dust masks like this do not last forever, but you can easily replace the filters on the inside and give yourself effectively a brand new mask. Now, there are two main materials that these tend to be made out of. The first is a neoprene material that's really similar to like a wetsuit that you'd wear scuba diving, and the other material is a mesh. The mesh is substantially cooler and doesn't make your face quite as hot, but the neoprene one would be great if you're somebody who works in a really cold environment and just want to keep that heat in. Again, mesh is cooler, neoprene's a little bit hotter. But what if they already have one of these masks? Well, these masks are perfect to leave all around. I personally keep one of these in my car at all times for whenever I have to cut wood down at the lumberyard. Plus, these work great for outdoor activities like mowing the lawn. So if a dust mask seems like a good gift that you want to give, I'll leave a couple links down in the description below. Speaking of safety, the table saw can be one of the most dangerous tools in the shop, which is why my next suggestion is a gripper block. Now, this thing does come in a little steep at around $60. However, the main function of this is to keep your hands and fingers safely away from the blade whenever you're making any cuts on your table saw. And while this is primarily used at the table saw, you can use this on tons of other tools. Now, this is the old one that I've had for well over 2 years, and it has taken an absolute beating. And you might be thinking that seems like a huge waste of $60. However, I can tell you, I'd rather ruin this than ruin my hands.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
But what if they already have a gripper? Well, like I said earlier, these work great on tons of different tools. So I always keep one right by my table saw and another underneath my router table. That way I don't have to go hunting around, and it's always there with no excuse not to use it. Plus, they get dinged up, so eventually you'll need to replace it. And yes, I will leave a link to this and all the other tools I talk about down below. And one last safety thing that will truly change the way that you work are a set of Bluetooth earbuds. You cannot go and just buy any regular earbuds. You need to look for ones that are specifically rated for hearing protection. Woodworking can be very solitary, and you really need some entertainment during really boring tasks like sanding. Bluetooth allows you to connect your phone to your earbuds so that you can wirelessly listen to music while you're working.
It's Britney.
Now, I personally have 3 main types. I meant to say 2 different types. The first type are the over-the-ear style. This specific set comes in at right around $40, and while they do work great, the downside is that since they completely cover your ears, if you're working out in the sun or in just a really hot environment, they make your ears sweat like crazy, and it's kind of gross. However, if you're somebody who works in a really cold environment, these would be great because they effectively act as earmuffs. And the other option is in-ear. This specific style keeps your ears substantially cooler than the over-the-ear version, plus they're a lot lighter weight. I own 2 different sets of these. One is an older model that comes in at around $60, and another one is the new upgraded model, which comes in at right around $99. Both of these are great options. However, I find that these stay in my ear a little bit better and tend to block out a little bit more noise. But what if they already have Bluetooth earbuds? Well, I have 4 sets in my shop. Mainly, if I have friends over, they can use them, or if a battery dies while I'm working, I can just take one set off, grab another one, and I'm good to go. no delays at all in working. So honestly, I'd suggest getting multiple. Plus, you can always use these for tasks outside of woodworking, like mowing the lawn. So if you're interested in checking out any of these, again, links down in the description. Now, real quick before I get to the last thing that I'd suggest that you buy somebody, leave a comment down below that says relish. That just lets me know that you actually watched the video. And if you don't know this, I read every single comment. So if you have a question or anything that you want to ask, leave relish and then your question, and I promise I'll get back to you. All right, let's get to that final gift. The last gift that I suggest is something that I use absolutely every day, and that is a quality small woodworking square. These are perfect for somebody who's working on really precise stuff like furniture. And my favorite ones that I always recommend are these Woodpecker's Delve Squares. These are made in the USA and actually about 90 miles away from where I live, so I love to support a local company. And Woodpeckers are one of the gold standard brands in woodworking, and while they are somewhat expensive, most woodworkers are absolutely dying to get their hands on something like this. This aluminum one comes in at right around $60, and this stainless steel one comes in at right around $100. Both of these pack tons of features like laying out lines, marking precise angles, and checking to make sure that all of your stuff is at a perfect 90-degree angle. Really, the only difference is the stainless steel one is substantially heavier than the aluminum one, and the stainless steel one also has a couple more built-in setup blocks on it. But what if they already have one of these? Again, having more than one just saves time. I can leave one of these permanently on my table saw and another one in my pocket. That way, whenever I need to check something, I've got it with me all the time. Again, I'll leave links to these and all the other tools that I talked about down in the description.